Fix, welcome back to My Kitten Reads. I'm Eleanor and this is my February reading wrap up. Apologies that I haven't posted a video in a few weeks. End of February, start of March is a very stressful time for me at work. It's also the start of my semester for university, so I've been very stressed, very tired, and all my brain power has been elsewhere. So I did actually intend to do a couple of other videos, but yeah, it just never happened. And in fact, this is Monday, a public holiday, and I've nearly forgotten to do it this weekend as well. So I'm finally doing my February wrap up. I will hope to be better soon because most of the really stressful stuff is gone, although I am still getting my head around being back at uni. So February, I think I read 8 things in February. Yes, I did not do so well in terms of my reading goals for the year. I think maybe 2 of them had significant queer content, but I don't think I read any non-white authors, unfortunately. Part of it is because I spent a lot of the month listening to audiobooks while I was stressed as hell, non-fiction audiobooks. That tends to happen when I'm trying to burn my way through a whole heap of work. I'm still actually in that phase, and so other stuff was like comfort reading when I could be bothered actually reading. The fact that I read 8 things in February is almost a miracle. I'm in the middle of a bit of a slump at the moment. I don't think I've finished anything in March yet. Yeah, but anyway, I did read 8 things in February. So I started out with my only physical book of the month, and I read Castle Charming by Tansy Roberts. This is the full collection of her Castle Charming novellas and short stories, some of which I had read before. The last a couple of them I hadn't. So this was me essentially rereading and catching up on Castle Charming and finishing it off. This is my hardback copy. So Castle Charming is her short story universe in which tragedy happened after the fairy tale wedding of the king and the queen. Now the 2 princes are adults and completely out of control and scandalous. And there's a whole tabloid industry built up around them. The princess is missing, the queen's been asleep for years and years and years and years, and the king is just rarely actually paying attention to what's going on. So this is often told from the perspective of a journalist in the tabloids, a quill as they're called, and from the perspective of the royal guards as they follow around the royals as they get into shenanigans and get drawn into the shenanigans themselves. It's funny, it's witty, it plays with fairy tale tropes, and what are the consequences of those fairy tale tropes. So yeah, really enjoy Castle Charming. Then what did I read next? I finished off Uncanny Magazine volume 48. I think I enjoyed it. Yes, I gave it 4 stars. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure I have written down what stories they were that I liked. Let me just find the right page. Yeah, so there was a story called The Portal Keeper by Levi Tidor, which was a sweet fairy tale type story. There was a story by Tansy Rayner Roberts called Towered, which is again a fairy tale apocalypse type story involving journaling. It was in the style of a journal. Yeah, there was a historical queer ghost mystery called Redcliffe Hall, which I quite enjoyed. That was by Jane Pinkard, if I can read my own writing. Probably can't. Yeah, so that was quite interesting. It was sort of an American, at the start of like a ladies' college thing, a whole bunch of stuff about racism and magic and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. There was also a really nice story called As One Listens to the Rain by Andrea Shapala, which was sapphic and involved a drowned city, and art and stuff like that. And, you know, that was quite sweet, but quite sad as well. So yes, that was Uncanny magazine at 48. So I started listening to my audiobooks. So I first read Take 6 Girls, The Lives of the Mitford Sisters by Laura Thompson. I've realised that my taste in non-fiction tends to be 17th, 18th, 19th century and even 20th century British high society often. And it's basically my version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, except mine are historical women. So yeah, so the Mitford Sisters, that was really interesting. And Laura Thompson I found quite interesting in that she often uses modern 21st century pop culture and literary references to help people connect to the story of a historical people that she's telling. So that was the Mitford Sisters, who were interesting, if not always pleasant. Then I listened to Belle, The True Story of Dido Belle by Paula Byrne. This is the non-fiction book that the movie Belle was based on. And there is not a lot of actual source material about Dido Belle. So it sort of explores her life by looking at the people around her. So her father, who was a Navy captain, who encountered slaves in the Caribbean. It also talked about her uncle who raised her, who was a judge who actually made a ruling that was a very important first step towards the abolition of slavery. Although it wasn't, he always argued that it wasn't actually that important and it was specific to the circumstances, but it's still credited as being one of those first legal steps. And it also looked at like other Black people known about in London at the time and what their lives were like that, and used that to extrapolate what Dido's life would have been like given the little information that we do know about her. But it was still very interesting. So yeah, I listened to that. Then I read another Tansy Roberts book, her new novella Gates Sinister, which is the first of the Sparks and Filters, I think it's called, series. This was essentially a story about a bunch of people living in a sort of Victorian-esque society in which love filters are unfortunately part of, like love potions, unfortunately part of high society husband hunting and wife hunting. But there is an antidote, but it is starting to get very, very rare, and a bunch of people, including a half fairy and a pair of magical brothers who were kind of in debt to someone, are both going hunting for access to the place where, like, the fairy dimension where the cure came from. And it involves impersonating, pretending to be a nanny and the children and all sorts of decisions about what is ethical. Yeah, so it was fun and funny and I quite enjoyed it, and there is another book in that series coming soon. So it's a gaslamp fantasy basically. And then a couple of my favourite authors did actually release new Pride and Prejudice variations last month. So I read Something More Substantial by Rowland. Yeah, which involves a bit of a different meeting and a different visit to Hunsford. And then I listened to another audiobook, which was another Laura Thompson one, which is Heiresses, The Lives of the $1 Million Babies. So it looked at heiresses throughout history and the kind of lives they live, the kind of situations they find themselves in. I include this on my significant queer content because there was a whole section of the book which was about all these heiress, lesbian and bisexual heiresses in the early 20th century who set up salons in Paris and lived quite openly their own lives. So there was that, which is also quite good. And in fact, the entire first chapter started with a discussion of Anderberg from Jane Austen. And then pulled in a whole bunch of other heiresses, including the heiress that gets killed in one of my favourite Poirot mysteries. So yeah, so that was fun. And then I finished off the month with Mary Bennet Takes Charge, the latest in the Takes Charge series by Shana Granderson, in which Mary comes to a realisation about her reading and her intelligence and has a few choice words to her father at the opportune time, which changes things in the Bennet household. So yeah, that was what I read in February. Yeah, I'm not doing great so far this month, so but hoping to churn that around, even if it means a bit of an Agatha Christie reread. Although yeah, I'll talk about it later. But yeah, so I'm not doing particularly well with my goals for the year, but I'm also getting back to the gym, trying to get back to the gym more regularly, because that's been difficult for me as well, which means I'm doing a bit more reading there. So yeah, that is my reading wrap up for February. I will try and get back to weekly videos. I promise, but my head is still kind of everywhere right now. I'm less stressed, but I'm in that kind of flat mental health area that comes after being too stressed. So, yeah. Anyway, this has all been a bit rambly, but at least I've now filmed it. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.